Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today we have another philosophical journey down the coin collecting world. And this question brought to you by, Luigi, he's my sponsor here. But this actually is a question that I've had from a couple different people recently, and we talked about it a little bit and wanted to know, is it okay to get pricing on something and then not sell it? And at first blush that sounds like, well, of course, why wouldn't you do that? Why would you have to sell it to get a price on stuff? And so this gets into this relationship that people have between buyers and sellers, between just two individuals who are talking about something, and it gets back to sometimes when people just say things, right? So if you go to a dealer and get pricing on stuff, and then do you come back to them later and say, thanks for the pricing, now I knew to sell my stuff for 10% more somewhere else? And you can start to see how that relationship can deteriorate when you do that with any frequency. And so let's talk a little bit about whether or not this is something you should participate in frequently, or how you should do that, whether or not you should be clear with someone ahead of time on whether or not you're going to actually sell something to them. So we do this actually quite frequently, where I'll text a buddy of mine and find out, hey, what are you paying for this particular product? So, maybe it'll be MS65 Morgans. Hey, what's the actual wholesale buy on this stuff? And partially you find out because you just need to know what the market is. And so to know what the market is, you have to go to people that you would consider to be market makers. A market maker is someone who buys a very large quantity of a certain item. And this helps you understand where the market really is. So for an example, it really helps me to gauge things, to find out where Carson City Morgans are and where they are going, by talking to somebody who buys them frequently and bought them on the run up and currently isn't buying them at all, like stopped buying completely, which tells me they are a seller only, which tells me that they're going to continue to come down in price, right? And so there's these little things that you learn from talking to these people. Now, when I ask them what they're paying on GSAs, or if they're still buying GSAs, and they say no, well, it's easy, right? Because they're not buying them. But if I'm getting pricing from them and then I'm not selling to them, am I in some way infringing upon some of their rights? To me, still the quick answer is no. Now, if you're trying to run a business and you have people asking you constantly, hey, what's this worth? What's that worth? What's this worth? At the end of the day, you only have so much time. And so what you'll run into at a lot of different coin dealers, some of the old school brick and mortar guys, they actually will say appraisals are $50 minimum unless you sell the coins to me, right? And so they do that. And so I've had a lot of people that really get upset by that. They push back and they say, well, this is tyrannical and unfair. Well, yeah, yes and no, but how much time are you going to spend giving people free information and then not buy this stuff from them? In other words, put yourself in his shoes for a while. Now, once again, I'm not saying the guy should be a jerk about it. I'm just saying if his business model is such that I'm about to spend 2 hours going through all of your family's stuff, I'm going to charge you for my time. There's that, right? I went to get my car looked at the other day, and they asked me up front. I said, I need a diagnosis on this. And they said, okay, are you okay with the diagnosis charge? Like, they're going to charge you a certain amount of money to go ahead and look at the automobile. And that is becoming more and more frequent because, is it really fair to that person if you're just going to go get an opinion and be like, okay, now I'm going to take it somewhere else to get it worked on? And so you can see how this philosophy, these ideas can kind of run into each other. And, it seems like when you talk about it one way, well, clearly you should be following through like you're making a deal. But when you talk about it the other way, you're like, well, no, I'm just trying to get information. And so I think usually what's at the spirit of things is the same thing that's at the spirit of most things, which is the spirit of things, which means, hey, how are you treating other people when you're going into it? Are you being upfront with them about what you're doing? Are you saying anything that's misleading? Are you saying, oh yeah, I totally want to do this deal with you, give me a price on it? Like, how are you handling yourself and how are you handling other people? And so when you run into a dealer who's a little bit bitter about giving prices on stuff, there's a reason for that. They probably feel like they've had a lot of people take advantage of them, and so, and the same thing happens. You guys have probably all had it happen to you too. If you're just going to coin club pretty frequently, and you've got guys that are like, they come to you with a coin, and you're like, oh yeah, I'd give you, $20 for that. I think that's what it's worth, and and they're constantly using for pricing, but then they're always selling on eBay instead. And that can be a little disingenuous because they have no intention of ever doing business with you. And so I'm a little bit down the middle on this because I think there is a middle, and I think that sometimes I get pricing from dealers when I'm doing a large deal where I feel like I'm going to have to wholesale certain things out, and I'm going to go ahead and try to understand the price points. And I need to know ahead of time that I'm not doing something incorrectly or, kind of inaccurately and making any mistakes. Because at the end of the day, I have an obligation to, my family and my coworkers to make sure that I'm not losing money on every deal I do, because then we won't be here to be able to, have the paychecks go through. They'll all bounce. It's a thing. They like getting paid. So anyways, let me know kind of what you think about this idea of, if you're getting pricing from somebody, should you be selling them the coins also? I find it to be kind of an interesting question, and maybe you've dealt with it. I just want to know what your experiences have been in this area, if you've had some good experiences or bad experiences with similar things. So leave your comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.